What's happening, folks out there? Broadcasting live to you and yours. It's your boy, Justin Reed, aka Too Tall for You Fool, and you are watching or listening to another episode of the Game & Watch podcast. This is episode number 86. I got my boys in the house today. We got RView Gaming OVG himself. Finest Dabs, how you doing, my man?
Doing all too well. Ready for another wonderful night of talking about video games.
And we also have a man of many nicknames. I'll just go with the one I remember right off the top of my head, the Professor of Time Preservation. He is the educator in the Game & Watch podcast. We got Mr. Matthew Bliss in the house. How you doing?
Not bad. I'm glad I wasn't the only one who rolled up with a haircut. Oh. That fade's looking pretty good. Pretty sweet there.
Thank you.
You both, the old Tash going too.
Yeah, you both got haircuts. That's very good. All right, before we continue, just want to remind you that the Game & Watch podcast is a RView Gaming or OVG production. We are available for y'all to listen to on all podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, you name it, we're there. For your watching pleasures, we are available for you on just about everything, about any website you can think of. Twitch, you can watch us on Twitter, you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook Live, we stream there. Just definitely look at the show notes for all the info of where you can find us. That helps us a lot. Oh, by the way, we have a Patreon. Any dollar donated to our Patreon will make the show better for all of us. So please donate to our Patreon. Really helps us a lot. And anything that we talk about in today's show will be linked in the show notes if you want to go back to any articles or anything, or if you just want to follow us on our personal channels. All our links will be there in the show notes, whether it be the audio version or the video version. So with all that,
you'll include the name of the cat that I just heard in the background somewhere.
Oh,
do either of you have a cat?
No, yes, I do have a cat. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You
I don't
were
have
just
a
saying all the things, all the pleasurable things our audience members will listen to, and then there was a little
cat.
somewhere in the background there.
Yeah, that cat, that meow is piercing. It's 2 rooms over, and you can still hear it. That is horrible.
Look,
Oh
it's
my gosh.
dinner time, clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so how's it going? How y'all been?
I got a haircut.
You got a
Yeah.
haircut. You
It
both
was
got
time.
haircuts. It was time.
Yeah. But
Oh
look,
yes.
I'll admit I'm not as happy as I could be because apparently the instruction leave the beard a bit longer meant make it look exactly the same as the picture that I showed him. So
Oh man.
all that effort to go full Kratos, and I've gone Atreus instead. So
Yeah.
but look, on the upside, I look exactly the same as my wedding day. So
Oh,
Did you go to the same person? Was it someone different? Like,
it was a different person, same
okay.
barber. But I got to think about haircuts. I'm like, get me in, get me out. I don't care.
yeah.
I don't like them. I leave them for way too long because I want to space them out as much as I can because I'm not a huge fan. Like, I'm not the
Yeah.
guy who likes sitting in that chair having a chat. I'm like, cut my hair. Let's get it done. Bye. I'll see you in 3 months. You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
But you obviously have a great time, Finus. You got like
Well,
whole style in there.
yeah, no. So for me, I mean, I'll keep this really short, but my dad used to take me to the barber. I went to the same barber that he went to. Went to his barber for probably 10 years of my life. And then essentially, like, I was like, Dad, you pay him to cut my hair? And my dad's like, yeah. And I was like, how much do you pay him? And he's like, oh, I pay him like $15, like, and then I give him a tip or whatever. It might have been $10. I don't remember. But anyway, I was like, if I cut my own hair, will you give me that money? And he's like, yeah, maybe. Like, well, we can talk about it. So for the last, man, it's been like 20 almost 20 years that I've been cutting my own hair. So my dad's not giving me money anymore for it, but he probably stopped after a couple months. So
that haircut, what you're sporting right now, that our audio listeners should rush over to the YouTube to check out. That's your handiwork, is it?
Yeah. I cut my own hair, which is not easy. It's definitely something that you have to spend about 18 years doing by yourself to get good. So when I mess up, I have no one but to blame but myself. But
and that's why you wear a lid when you mess up. And that's why.
No, that's just when I get lazy and I'm like, I don't feel like cutting my hair.
Yeah,
that's my town. That's where I hang out.
I know for me when it comes to haircuts, I guess we'll just stay on the subject of haircuts for a minute. I'm kind of like you, Matt. I just really didn't like going to barbershops growing up. I'm black, so it's like to some black people, going to a barbershop is like going to a country club. Like people want to be talking in there all day. It's just that, like, as a kid, I'd never liked it. Maybe one of the reasons why I wish I had a Game Boy back in the day when I'd go, but it's like now it's just like these days, it's just like I'm in and out. But just I talk to the person cutting my hair. That's it.
Yep.
Oh,
get
if
in,
you're listening,
get out. That's it.
Yeah.
It's a transactional relationship. You like, as nice as you can be.
Yeah.
They're doing you a service, and you may not like it. I don't know. It's not a weird thing about haircuts, but I'm glad someone agrees with me to some degree. It's probably a thing from the youth too, that you just pick up on and you just carry it into your adulthood. You're like, yeah, these haircuts. Don't know. It's just a thing in my life that I do.
All right. Well, here in the States this weekend, preferably tomorrow, we are celebrating Mother's Days. So with you, being from Australia, Matt, do you guys celebrate Mother's Day the same time as us Americans do, or do you guys not do it at all?
We do. I think it's the Father's Day that is different, because yours is quite early in the year, right?
Yeah, ours is in June, Father's Day.
Whereas ours is in September or October. I can never remember. But yeah, that's where it's different, because my wife being Irish, it's different over there too. So Yeah, she often does too, as well. But it's convenient on Mother's Day because you only do it once. But for Father's Day, you ended up doing, one day and then another day in the year when you
Yeah.
live in two different countries. But how are the
All right.
mothers?
Yeah. So yeah, just want to shout out to my mom. I know you hardly listen to this podcast or watch this podcast, but just want to say I love you very much. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. My wife, my mother-in-law, Finest, your mom. I know her very well. Happy
Whoa, whoa,
Mother's Day to
whoa!
her.
Don't go wishing Happy
Hang
Mother's Day to
on.
my mom.
I don't
That-
think Mother's Day is to celebrate other people's mothers. But would you say that on this special day, you should embrace your mothers?
yeah, you should
Yeah.
definitely embrace your mothers for
Go
for.
Square Enix dancing with your mothers.
Yep, yep, yep.
Buy her some Crystal Dynamics.
Yeah, we will get into that today. That's going to be our main topic discussion. Very,
Mhm.
very, very weird one, if you ask me. I was getting my car serviced on Monday. I read the article. I mean, no one saw this coming. No one saw this coming. But that better hold that up. But before we get into all that and the gaming news call outs, what are we playing?
Video games?
Matt? Video
Yeah.
games? Yeah,
Yeah.
video games. Yeah,
I'm actually playing a lot of video games right now.
a lot of them.
A lot of them.
Okay.
I was stuck in the Elden Ring hole for quite a while. So now that I've just diversified, I've found that I've been playing just too many. You'd probably describe it as too many. But more recently, I played and finished Guardians of the Galaxy, which,
Nice.
on your
Nice.
recommendation, Finus, and from other people, was said to be a very good game, and I'm glad to say that it is. I had a really great time with it. Um, I wouldn't be talking about it in a great way for the combat elements and stuff because realistically, there's not a whole lot there.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to play a video game version of the Guardians of the Galaxy film and really get that the same vibes from it, the same kinds of jokes, just it was really great to experience, to be honest. And you get a different side of the stories because they kind of dabble a little bit in the multiverse kind of stuff. It doesn't sync up with the films, so the characters and the voice actors are a little bit different as well. But it tells a different story, and it
And
still sticks around the Infinity Stones and stuff like that.
and that's the thing, like I was trying to like explain, like when I was like playing the game, like if you can get
Mm.
your mind wrapped around like being the coach versus being like the players on the field and really like embracing that, ha ha ha, then the game can, then you just like enjoy the game so much more, rather than
Yep.
kind of just like just dreading the fact that you're not playing these other players directly the entire time. But yeah, it's almost like just a perspective piece. Like you're like
It is.
very much viewing this game from one person's perspective and really gathering the story from everything that they're experiencing. And I thought it was great. I just wish like maybe like if they came out with some DLC or something to that regard, like maybe like they could add other people's, but we know that's not happening now. But that would have been
Well,
nice if yeah.
I mean, you never know. I mean, we
Yeah.
don't want to spoil what our main discussion topic is. Just for anyone, we could see that the chat's blowing up a little bit with how the main topic is going to be addressed a bit later on. I think that the
Mhm.
fact that the Embracer Group has now bought the studio that created Guardians of the Galaxy game and the Avengers game from Square Enix could mean that something does come down the tracks somewhere, which would be great, to be honest. Like, and as you said, it is about kind of a coaching game as opposed to a game about fighting, because that is the common criticism I see. Like, people want to be Gamora and they want to be Drax because they've got the cool moves, whereas Peter Quill is kind of a wisecracking, quiff toting sort of nerd dork kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's his vibe, though. But I think the whole performative aspect of the combat and the narrative in the game as well is just, it's so awesome. And it results in really funny moments as well. The funniest one for me was doing the huddle mechanic
Hmm.
very late in the game. So the huddle, for anyone who hasn't played Guardians of the Galaxy yet, is when you take a beat in the middle of your fighting and you bring everyone together for a pep talk, and you're like, they have a vibe. They'll be like, "Oh no, we can't fight this battle. We won't win. Oh, we're not going to do very well." And then Peter says something that is meant to hype him up. But then because the soundtrack is so epic, like it's got that 80s, early
Yeah.
90s vibe soundtrack, you will get one of the epic 80s soundtracks that you probably would have heard in the original film as well. And in one of the final boss fights, where I had like epic operatic sort of, the end of the world is coming, I did my huddle and it came out of the huddle and I had "Don't Worry, Be Happy" while I was fighting this
Yeah.
massive boss that was, trying to end the entire galaxy. And I laughed out loud, quite literally. That was one of the finest moments. That and the Alex Warlock character who alliterates everything.
Yep.
And at some point, I won't spoil anything, he then starts rhyming instead of alliterating. I thought that was a
Hmm.
really neat touch. But I really enjoyed watching that game more so than playing it. It was just a great game.
Yeah.
Really good.
Definitely agree. Like, it's not a game you need to play on easy, hard. It's just a game that you just sit back and you just enjoy it for what it is, and that's like just truly the best part. And just taking
Yeah.
those little side moments when you do have opportunities, like when you do go off the beaten path and a character follows you, and you have the opportunity to like chat with them, and just like, and they like kind of tell, like they like kind of like just divulge all this information about their life. It's, and you're like, oh wow, like you're like, I did not know that about you, but I know that now. Wow. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like that you went through that. Yeah.
And I'm the worst for that too. Like I'm the kind of guy who scrounges, like pokes at all the corners and like peels up the wallpaper and checks to make sure there's ammo in there or something.
Yep.
So I will talk to everybody. I will collect everything. I will empty an area
Yeah. Same
before
here.
I leave it. Yeah. And there's a lot of good stuff in there for you. It's not just, collecting parts for something that you don't need later. Really good. Now that was the biggest one. I
That was the
played
biggest
Turnip
one.
Boy. Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion,
Hmm.
which sounds like a ridiculous game, but I would urge anyone to give it a go. You're basically a little anthropomorphized turnip running around with anthropomorphized berries and
I feel like I've
stuff.
seen this game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
great. You're basically you run around completing tasks for people, and the whole motif of the game is that you're trying to cover your debt that has been accrued by an evil mayor. So you're like millions of dollars in tax debt. But the funny thing is, you run around different areas completing tasks and they give you things. And then the only thing you can do to that thing is tear it in half. So, like, you'll talk to a strawberry who's trying to flirt with a blueberry, and you'll make that happen. You'll, pass messages back and forth, and they'll be like, "Hey, that was really great. Can you give this love message to the blueberry for me?" And you see that love note, and the only prompt you have is to rip it. You tear it in half, and then you talk to the strawberry again, and she's like, "That was really mean," and then you walk off. It's a really funny game. I won't say too much about it, but just
Yeah.
dive in. It's
I,
Uh,
is that it right there?
That's it.
Yeah, that looks
Okay.
like it.
It takes maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours if you're really pounding through that thing. There's some fun little puzzles in there. It's kind of that pixel art style, but it's funny. It's funny to think about, and there's a lot
Yep.
of memes in there too.
Looks funny.
Um, Yeah, and I'm probably about halfway through Trek to Yomi as well, which
Oh,
came out on
I knew you were
Xbox
going to start
Game
that
Pass.
one. I didn't get a chance to start that one this week, but
Oh yeah. But I've been hearing a lot of talk about that one this week. Hmm.
Very pretty, but I will say it is 2D Sekiro,
okay.
and I'll leave you with that.
All right, I'll definitely try to jump into it this week when I'm playing some games. F man, what you been playing? Still on that Horizon Forbidden West?
Horizon Forbidden West. Oh my gosh, that game. It's so long. Uh, or it
You gotta
can
take a
be.
break, man.
No, 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 no. I'm on the like the final stretch. So like gotta defeat some certain enemies. Like right now, we've created like our master plan in the tail end of the game, and like I have like all my comrades, and they all have like are gonna play their own parts in order to like to beat the end of the game. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm just like actually like I'm so close to the end right now. I kind of just stopped, and now I'm getting all the armor that I want. I'm doing additional side quests. I've been doing side quests this entire time. That's why I'm 85 hours plus in the game. But just very much like I'm at that tail end. I see myself playing probably another 20 hours, and then I'm gonna drop it. And then I don't see myself picking it up at all, like
ever,
for the rest
ever
of the
again?
year. No, DLC is coming for
Oh
sure.
yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
no. And
So you're in the mentality right now that you're like, okay, whatever I do, I need to do before I beat the boss, because as soon as I beat that boss, I'm dropping this game.
yes, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
So that's your goal right now. No more side quests. No more.
Well, no, I'm doing side quests, but I'm doing it in order to get the last couple things that I want, because very
Mm.
much so like we just spoke about, like once I put it down, I'm putting it down for a long while. Um yeah, no, but Horizon, it's such a great game, and just the fact that I'm playing on PS4 and it's just as gorgeous as it is, like it's blows my mind. I'm like, if I was playing on PS, like I almost feel like the game, like since like everyone reviewed it on PS5, it did it a disservice because everyone was just like, oh, this is more Horizon. They didn't get to appreciate it for the actual like feat that they did in creating that PS4, PS5 crossover with this game, and just being able to do everything that you can do. And first, I'm about to spoil something. I haven't even experienced this myself, but it's been spoiled for me. But once you complete a certain cauldron, you can fly. So you get the pterodactyl in the game. They call it a sunwing,
Mhm.
and you can fly on that sunwing. And it's at the tail end of the game. And I haven't experienced myself, but I've seen other people do it. So people are like, they're pretty much speculating on what they think the end of the game or what the DLC is going to be or where it's going to be. And I want to fly so bad. Like before I drop this game, I have to get on a freaking sunwing, and I have to just fly around this map because the map is so huge. But even more than that, what's taking me the most time is just every quest, every like not every quest, but like so many of the side quests and so many things you do. It has so many branches and trees to it. So like it's like, hey, go to this area and do the side quest. You get there. Now it's like, okay, now investigate the area. Okay, you investigate the area. And then it's like, oh, follow the trail. You follow the trail and it leads it to someone. And then you find that person. They're like, hey, well, this is what I'm doing. And they're like, I'm trying to get here. And you're like, okay. And you follow them there. And then you have to like defeat a camp or a rebel base or override a machine and whatever the case may be. Um, I am having a lot of fun with it, but just I want to do as much as I can before I end the game. And even I know there's even like at the end of the game, there's still stuff I'm going to want to do. Like there's a boss, not a boss arena, but there's going to be a enemy arena where you can
Like a
fight.
horde mode kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just like, man, like I played it once and I got my tail kicked in. And I beat a couple levels in that, but very much in like the very novice area, and I got my tail kicked in. And I'm just like, man, I kind of really want to do this, but I know I'm not gonna be able to do that for like 20 more levels, and until I get better armor and better weapons, and probably until I beat the game. But so I'm just gonna exit. I'm not gonna even go that route. I'm just gonna beat the game, and then I'm gonna drop it and go on to Elden
Well,
Ring.
look at it
Elden
this
Ring.
way. You
Yep.
can pick it up again when you get a PS5, upgrade that version for the $10 or whatever it
Yep.
costs to shuffle
Mhm.
it up, and then you experience the game again.
Yeah.
And it's another 120 hours for you to get the whole lot done. But I am excited to hear what you think of Elden Ring, because it's an interesting one. It very much still is. Like, it's in the zeitgeist still. There are people bouncing off it and people diving headfirst without any FromSoft game experience. It's really interesting. I'll be really interested to hear what you think.
Can't
For
wait.
sure.
I can't wait. Justin said he's gonna send me his copy. We're gonna trade. Justin,
Awesome.
what are you playing?
Right now, I am still on WWE 2K22, and I said I would have some footage of me this week in the game, but you'll have to wait till next week. The next time I actually play the game, I'll actually record some footage. I just having like so much fun with the game. Sometimes if I'm having like too much fun with the game, I forget to record. But
Too
I
much
will.
fun.
Yeah, I'm having too much fun with the game, so it's been a real treat
Terrible.
just playing that game. Terrible. Yeah. Oh yes, you will see me. I am the world heavyweight champion in my WWE universe, and you'll see me walk in with my belt. And who's a opponent who I should battle? When I show off my gameplay footage, the Undertaker,
Yokozuna.
Yokozuna. Okay, I will fight Yokozuna.
No, do they really have him in there?
Yeah, he was DLC in the first DLC
Oh,
pack.
junk nuggets. I was not expect. I was just
Yeah,
joking. I was like,
yeah,
man. Oh, okay.
yeah. Yokozuna. Yeah, him. Yeah,
Man,
How
that
about
Rikishi.
takes me
Yeah.
way back.
Bonesaw from Spider-Man 1, which is, of
uh,
course, Macho Man Randy Savage, but
Macho
he's
Man.
playing a
Okay.
character.
Oh yeah. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I'm thinking maybe I'll do triple threat, Macho Man and Yokozuna. Who
Okay.
knows? But yeah, I'm having
Don't
a lot of
tease
fun
us.
with the game, and just I'm doing the My Rise with the female character I created, and right now I'm trying to fight the wrestler Asuka, and I cannot get through it right now. It's for the SmackDown Women's Championship, so I'm doing that, and then after that I will just probably just make more matches, play Universe, maybe
Okay.
give GM mode another chance. We'll see, but a lot of fun. I'll give you some more footage on the game next week. It's a very fun game, guys. If you like wrestling simulation, even if you don't watch wrestling, and if you just like that type of game, it's so fun. All right, so first agenda on the gaming news call outs today is PS Now and their lineup for May. So this is pretty much the last games we're getting for PS Now before they merge with PlayStation Plus. We are getting 3 games. We're getting Naruto Shippuden. Oh, I know I totally botched that. Ultimate
Okay, you were
Ninja,
close.
uh, Ultimate Ninja Storm 4. We're also getting Soul Calibur 6 and Blasphemous. Any of these games that our viewers or listeners should pick up if they have PlayStation Plus, maybe
Well, this
all of
is
Soul
them,
Calibur.
PlayStation now, right?
or PlayStation Now. Excuse me,
Yeah.
PlayStation Now. Sorry. Any of these
It's okay to
games?
be confused
Yeah,
because you never know
I
what's the
am.
right one.
It's just so confusing. Like, man,
It'll all
but
be one thing soon enough, so you don't have to worry
yes,
about that.
yeah.
Soul Calibur, I the last time I played a Soul Calibur was number 2 back on the PS2, but
Yep,
that's
I
always a
played.
good pickup. It's always a
Yeah,
fun fighter.
yeah. It was a fun fighting game. I played it on GameCube myself.
All of them, really.
Yeah,
Like there's like honestly, all these are like pretty decent games. Soul Calibur, love that series. Always a good time. But Blasphemous is gonna be the one I probably go to. But Naruto, if you're like into the Shippuden series, they've done like so many of these games. Yeah. So I mean, if you like that, like behind the back, third person like fighting games, very much Naruto is there. But Blasphemous, like it being a Metroidvania, it's done crossovers with let's see, what was the game? Oh, God, Bloodstained. It did a
yeah, that's
crossover
right.
with Bloodstained. Blasphemous, yeah. So I've already purchased that game, but I haven't even jumped into it yet. But I heard it's an awesome Metroidvania, and I only knew about it because of that crossover with Bloodstained.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Blasphemous would be the game I would probably pick of these 3 games, mainly because even though I like the wrestling style games, I'm not really too much into fighting games like that. So because yeah, fighting games is just like its own beast. So I'd probably go Blasphemous for the most part. So
But they're free, right?
yeah, but they are there.
Just go and download them.
Yeah, just download them if you got it.
Get
Yeah,
what you got.
if you got them, yeah, before they confuse the hell out of everybody with these 3 tiers with the new PlayStation Plus Premium. Yeah, it's just I don't know. Well, I mean,
Premium plus extra
yeah,
extra.
we'll be covering it soon enough on the show when they release everything and what is what and all that good stuff. Uh, all right. Anyway, moving on to Xbox news. We got some more indie games coming to the service. Indie games are included are the following. We got Loot River, and then we also have Trek to Yomi, which Matt just talked about. I really want to play that game.
Hmm.
Citizen Sleeper. Those are all available now. Danganronpa 2. Goodbye Despair Anniversary Edition is coming May 10th. Also, I know I'm going to butcher this. Yui Dun Chronicle Rising May 10th. This War of Mine Final Cut May 10th, and NHL 22 for esports fans May 12th, or hockey fans rather. Any of these games, anyone should be on the lookout for.
Well, let's start with you. What do you think, bud?
Yeah.
Trek to Yomi. I really want to play that game, and also, yeah, just real excited for that one. Just I'll definitely play it this week along with my WWE and stuff, and then
There's just too much excitement there.
Dude, yeah, way too
His
much
camera just
excitement.
dropped out. Well, I'll jump on there.
All
Trek to
right.
Yomi, definitely. It's so it's very reminiscent of the old Japanese, uh, like not martial arts necessarily, but samurai kind of old style film. It's
Mm-hmm.
very much looks that way, but the fighting, as I said before, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. It's all about parrying and, but it's 2-dimensional combat, so it's quite interesting. But these games are very diverse in this list. Like, there's not a uh, single set of things where you go, yeah, that's for that particular type of group of people. Because you've got your
Yeah.
NHL, you've got your strategy games with this War of Mine, you've got your anime kind of games with the Euden and Danganronpa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. The one that I did hear about was Loot River, though. It seems to be kind of a platform puzzler combined with a combat kind of element. It's really hard to describe.
I've heard about it too, and I've heard it's really good and really addictive. Um,
Yes. Well, it's Loot River. It's a
yeah.
river that loot pops out of. I presume there's like rogue elements to that, which
Yeah.
would make it appealing to those who have that particular frame of mind. But
Yeah,
yeah,
no, I was just surprised about Xbox. Like, they announced their games for gold this month, and I was just like very much like, oh, like, a whole bunch of junk games. But I was waiting for this announcement. I feel like they really like brought the games this month. In terms of like just like they're not only giving you variety, but they're giving you like pretty highly anticipated like indie-ish games or just games in general. Loot
they've got
River,
a plan.
they
They've got
do,
a
and
plan, man.
yeah, and especially with the new PlayStation Plus coming out, I feel like they're going hard this month, and I feel like they're going to go hard next month also, like very much so. Uh,
Yeah,
you know, Euden is that that's how you pronounce that? I believe
that's
it
how I
is.
would. But
But
just keep
yeah,
going.
that one is like a spiritual successor to Suikoden. Did you ever play that
Oh,
RPG back in the day?
I didn't. The name rings a bell though.
Yeah, it's just a really popular RPG. Yeah, I actually bought the game, and then my I told my friend that I bought the game, and he was like so jealous. He was like, "Oh," and I'm like, I even popped it in my PlayStation. And I'm just like, we were probably in 11th grade, and I just was like, okay. I was like, well, I brought it to school the next day. I just gave it to him. I was like, here you go. Like, I don't even like need the game. So I bought the game and never really had a chance to experience it. But based on him and based on like just other people telling me about it, it's a great game. At least the one on PlayStation. I think that might have been PlayStation 2 at that time.
I thought that
So
was going to be a really sad story. I thought you were going to be like,
yeah.
yeah, I gave it to my friend in year 11 and we went on spring break and then I never saw him again. And I never saw that game again.
I mean, I never saw it again, but I mean, it was just yeah, no,
Oh,
no, no,
okay.
no sad story. But yeah, I just gave it to him just to have, and yeah, it just like one of those things. Like I'll never forget that game because I gave it away. um,
There you go.
but yeah, no, I mean, this is a pretty good lineup overall. I mean,
It's good
Danganronpa is
chance to
gonna be
have
great.
a bunch of stuff to fill
Yeah.
in with the AAA gap that we've got at the moment.
Mhm.
Yes.
And I feel
Yeah.
like PlayStation's going hard too, like the games that we just talked about, like on PlayStation Now and how that's going to fold in. Very much like they're trying to like entice the people and bring them in, and just like right now, it's like we're getting ready to go into like Summer Game Fest and all these other things right now. So they're bringing their A game.
Mm.
Yes,
Good.
they are. Definitely.
Welcome back, Too Tall.
Yeah. I had
we
some
just
had
we
some
felt
technical
the
difficulties
power
there.
of your overwhelming excitement for the games in Xbox Game Pass, and you cut out there.
Yeah, it happens, man. But hey, this was well. Hey, that's the first technical difficulty I've had in a long while, I think. So I don't know,
It's a good thing.
it's kind of a good thing, but just well, at least this time it's not stuttering. It just cut me off. Like what happened?
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. It happened. All
Have you
right.
still got Game Pass?
Do I? Yes, I do. And yeah, so I'm still
Cool.
paying for it. I want to use it more, so I mean, I'm definitely gonna pop it in this week on my Xbox One S, and we'll give it a go. We'll download some of these
Yeah,
games.
I think like at least Loot River is gonna be, or Loot River just came out, but
Mm.
these are like all day one, like
Yeah,
essentially, like that's crazy. Like to have like
yeah, it kind of is.
like
You really think about it.
7, 8 day ones like right off the bat, and like I know they like a lot of people join Game Pass because of their projections. They project to sell like so many units, but they feel like they can you know they feel like they can make more money during Game Pass. Like we never see these numbers behind the scenes, but Xbox pays them X amount of money to have them on Game Pass, and so just like the fact that they're like, well, we feel like it's more in our favor to be on Game Pass for the next several months versus putting our game out to the audience and taking that gamble is like that. This is like shocking. It's a little mind blowing. It's like, wow, how much is Microsoft spending on these games? And I know we all know how much Microsoft is potentially bringing in. So I'm just, man, I wish I can be a
It's
fly on the wall.
still the honeymoon stage, though, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah,
We're still at that stage where they're losing money on their console, or they're pumping a bunch of money into this thing. Lord knows, Epic Games hasn't gotten over the top of the money that they lose every year yet. But eventually, there will be a stage where Xbox Game Pass becomes a harder question for
hmm
developers and consumers about whether they tackle it there or not. It's a good time to play video games.
yeah, it is
What more can we say?
definitely. And
I mean, that's
then,
one of the. Oh, I'm sorry, J man. What are you gonna say?
oh no, you finish up. I was going to go on to our next topic, but yeah, you finish
Oh,
up.
I was just gonna say that's honestly that's one of the reasons why they remove games.
Yeah,
Like if you think about the model in itself, like in order to keep it concise and have like keep people moving on to different games and keep you engaged with all these different games. That's exactly why they're removing games. So if you ever wondered, this is why they want you to keep on playing new games. So that's
There's
that's what
also
speaks to the model.
there's a reason why they don't let you buy a year's subscription too.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's a
Anyway,
great segue, Finance, because I was about to talk about the games leaving Game Pass in the month of May. Yes, we have Grand Theft Auto leaving the Grand Theft Auto San Andreas Definitive Edition May the 10th. Enter Gungeon May 15th. Your favorite, Matt, Final Fantasy X and X-2 HD Remaster leaving the 15th. Remnant from
blasphemy. It's always a good time for Final Fantasy. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. Remnant from Ashes, May 15th. Steep, May 15th. The Catch Carp Course, May 15th. And The Wild at Heart, May 15th. So it seems like, with the exception of GTA, all these games are leaving May 15th. So what games should people get if they have Game Pass right now? Should they play?
Final Fantasy X
I knew you would
and
say that.
10-2.
And
Just
10
quick
2.
quick
Play
work.
it real quick.
20 hours a day, you'll be able to knock out Final Fantasy X, maybe half of 10-2 before they run off of Xbox Game Pass.
20 hours
But
a
look,
day.
I will always recommend it because it's one of my favorites. But it's a great time to play it because there's a podcast a couple of blokes that do their own podcast as well that I discovered recently called Resonant Arc. They do
Oh
the
yeah.
State of the Arc podcast where they deep dive into the narrative of games, of popular games, and they're unpacking Final Fantasy X right now. And oh boy, it's a fun ride.
I'm
So
sure you're loving it. Yeah, I remember you said that earlier this week in your Dead Drop pod, right?
I did, I
Yeah, yeah.
did.
So
But I would highly recommend anyone who's played Final Fantasy X go and check them out. State
Yeah,
of the Arc podcast,
we'll drop that
um,
link for sure.
yeah, for
and
sure.
play that game on Game Pass before it goes away.
Yeah, great game. One of my favorite Final Fantasies, also for sure.
All right,
Yes,
and then
so good.
in other Xbox news, they revealed us new colors. A new deep pink controller. You know me and my controllers. I love me some good controllers, regardless of the console. You know, I'm just a big controller nut when it comes down to it. But yes, a pink Xbox controller. What do
That
y'all
thing
think?
is pink. Wow.
Yes. I know Mr. Madness also posted a purple one in our Discord chat earlier this week also after I posted the link to this story. But I mean, I stick with I have the white one somewhere. I think it's in one of my drawers, but that's the main one I use when I play Xbox. What I love about the Xbox controllers though is you can play it with your Xbox One S, and then you can play it with your Xbox Series X or Series S. I mean,
Yeah,
it, it,
multi-platform controller.
yes, I love it.
Very
I love it.
versatile. But
Yes.
here is what you don't like, or you won't like when I say it. The Xbox 360 controller was a
Mm-hmm.
better controller. I had a wired one that I bought
Okay.
years ago. Lasted for ages until it got a little bit of stick drift, and then I had to replace it. But I've got a brand new Xbox Series something controller for the PC. I've never used it on an Xbox because I don't have one anymore. The build quality is worse. Like, it's more plastic, and obviously they want to push you to the Elite controller because that'll be the
Yeah.
better build quality. But that 360 controller, workhorse, did its job so good. The other thing I like about what the controller we've got on screen right now, something I've noticed is they didn't feel like they could compromise on the color theme so far that they had to include little colors for the buttons, the YBXA buttons with a little code in the middle. They couldn't actually color the buttons themselves. They were all just pink. That just tickles me a little bit.
Yeah, for me it was I thought you were going to mention the analog sticks. I was like, I don't know why. Like the triggers are all are all black. The D-pad is black. The buttons are black and pink. And I mean, except for like the menu buttons in the center. But then the analog sticks being pink just bothers me for some reason. Like they're almost
Yeah.
invisible. But
Yeah.
it just aesthetically, like I just for that reason, I would not go with this controller unless I switched them out or got some covers or something.
Yeah, it's an interesting style choice, but at the same time, like, it's one color or the other.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
could have had white sticks, maybe.
Yeah. Or black
I mean, you can't have white sticks. You just can't.
yeah.
I mean, you can,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's a controller you just put up on the shelf and never touch.
Okay.
So
So
fine,
we're
if you
looking
had
at
Can you just imagine how dirty like those would be after like a week of
Yeah.
use? Yeah.
Yeah, so fine. If you had a 360, is it a better controller than the current Xbox controller?
You know what? I never even really thought about it till Matt says, "Hey, I'm
I
gonna have
love
to.
with this.
I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to put him to the test, and I'll have to let you know next week."
Okay.
Do it.
Yeah.
No
Alright, I'm
contest, guaranteed.
And our last bit of Xbox news, they finally addressed the problem with the console where games would not launch properly when they required an update. Xbox Alpha and Alpha Skip Ahead insiders will now be prompted immediately when an Xbox Series X game needs an update, which means you shouldn't encounter the all too common issue that rudely boots you back to the dashboard, or have the launch a game multiple times before the update prompt appears. So this is a good thing. I mean, have you had this problem with your Xbox Series X Finest where or a game needs to like update itself and doesn't
This
launch
is
properly?
I consider this like spoiled gamer problems. Like, I'm still living in last. Like I have like my new generation console, but like I appreciate it for everything that it does. Like I don't nitpick at the things that it can't do. So if I get an update that fixes something, like I'm like, oh, cool. But I'm not like, oh no, this is. I updated my system and it boots me back to the screen, like the menu screen, and it takes 15 seconds longer to load up because of this, or it didn't tell me there was an update immediately as soon as I turned on the console. This is hooey. Like if a person is complaining about this on their system, then go play another system. Like it's honestly, it's not that big of a deal, but I guess it's a big deal to some people that they, decided
Yeah.
to write an article on it.
Yeah, it was big
I
enough
like
to be a news article.
I like the way you frame that, but I don't think this is a problem for the gamers who are gaming on the daily, right? Because the solution there is obviously get your update, go play something else, because these people will have a Switch, or they'll have something on their phone, or they'll have a PlayStation or something else nearby that they can just jump onto. I think this is for the infrequent gamers, like the once a weekers who, the updates are so frequent these days that
Oh yeah.
Elden Ring, for example, cops a lot of updates, and it did upon release. If you tackle that thing once a week, you could be looking at a 6 to 8 gigabyte update every time you go to play it. And if the system doesn't go, hey, don't start yet, there's this little update you got to grab. Just do that before you start playing. And instead, you're like, all right, we're ready to go. Let's jump into this game, putting my Elden Ring hat on, or whatever it is you wear when you play Elden Ring, and jumping in, and then it goes, boop, nope, sorry, update. Sorry. I think that's the group that would be most annoyed by this. And to be honest, that's probably a very large portion of the play space that would be suffering from this. And look, it is newsworthy because you want to catch everybody. And it's a very, let's call it a developing world, a first world problem kind of thing. Like, if for most people, it will be the difference between 10 seconds to launch a game or, a minute and a half. But,
I get that. Just talking about, since we are talking about updates, and I can't believe we're having this discussion. But anyway,
I'm a PC guy, man. Updates, they're the thing. For the audience, I struggled to get into this podcast session today because my antivirus elected to update, and that broke this instance of our little call here. So, go for it,
behind
man.
the scenes. No, I was just gonna say that the thing that probably bothers me even more about that is like when the update does prompt, and it says like update and update, or it says like update now or cancel or something to that regard. Like there's a choice. Like because like if you press cancel and you try to jump into the game, like it's like you can't play this game until you update it. And like, if you want to update, I don't know. It's just like the only way to get into that game is to update it. And that like that's the game that you want to play. Yeah, and it's giving you the choice. Like just don't give me the choice. Like just update like update as quickly as possible, get it done. I'm obviously trying to play the game if I've entered it. So you should like just update right away. Don't give me the choice. But I understand if like you do want to go play something else, you don't have the best bandwidth. Then that could like create lag or something to that regard. But man,
or if you've got 3 or 4 children who are trying to Netflix the latest whatever crap on Netflix there is, it's only crap these days.
Netflix, oh man.
Yeah, if you have to yell around the house and go, hey, Horizon's update, just chill for a bit. That might be when you say I don't want 3 children getting angry at yelling at me because they can't see the latest Stranger Things monster eat someone.
Or they could just cancel it.
Or if you could set a time for all your updates. Like let me schedule a time for all my updates. Like I would put like midnight auto update all my stuff. Like come on. Like what were we in the Middle Ages?
And that's why this is a bug. But like a couple of months ago, they fixed the standby mode update download problem that the Xbox consoles have. So now they can download system updates while the console is asleep.
Yeah.
Which is massive. Like that's huge. That solves almost 50% of your problems.
Exactly.
But then you got this little guy. Sorry. story that we turned into like a 15-minute conjecture on
Yeah.
gamers
Kind
and
of
other
funny.
things.
Bye, everybody.
Kind of funny. All right, enough with Xbox. Let's move on to Nintendo, the console everyone loves to hate, and we're gonna talk about Switch Sports. And this is also kind of funny if you really think about it. I guess Switch Sports is predictably leading to Smash TVs. I guess there's a few streamers out there. I'm sure there's a lot of videos out there of people playing the new game Switch Sports and their TVs, being smashed. But I mean, they do say when playing the game, make sure that you're wearing the Joy-Con properly, with your wrist, so it doesn't like fly off your hand if you're playing tennis or bowling or something. I find this kind of just like real funny.
Apparently, it
Like,
reminds you. Apparently, it gets really annoying where you finish one game, like it might be a set of tennis or something, and it's like, hey, you still got that wrist strap on? Maybe chuck that
yeah.
guy back on. But look, who would be surprised at this? I think that was one of the only solid predictions about the
Yeah.
release of this game, that TVs are going to get broken, or maybe they won't because the Joy-Cons are
Yeah.
like smaller and lighter than.
I mean, this
Then
was the thing with the Wii. So I
Yeah.
mean, this is just the cycle of life at this point. Like, oh, I'm gonna wave a controller as hard as I can in front of my TV. What's gonna happen? But I mean, yeah, I'm just waiting for the next reports about Joy-Con elbow. Do you remember that, Matt? With Wii elbow?
Oh yeah, the Wii
Oh yeah,
elbow.
that was a thing that was developed from people using their Wii's too much, and not a joke. People actually complained about elbow issues, and they labeled it Wii elbow back in the day.
So was it
yeah,
like a tendonitis, or was it a bone thing?
yeah, it was
Like,
like
was
a
there an
tendonitis.
actual?
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, wow. So
But
see the announcement for a Switch Sports or whatever Nintendo Sports, and go out and just get a tennis ball and throw it against that wall for a bit.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
you could do that instead of just. I mean, we were big gamers here, but I mean, never hurts to just go outside and get some fresh air. Just
You got to warm up those
play
joints. Yeah.
play
Okay,
some
so
tennis or badminton outside. Go to an actual bowling alley and bowl. Just stuff like that.
so the
But
Game and Watch review of Switch Sports, just go outside.
yeah, just go outside. Well, I mean, I'll pull up the Metacritic score. It's a 73. I mean, it's doing pretty good. User score kind of mixed. 6.2. So I mean, I guess I don't think it's as. I mean, I'm just doing an assumption. I don't think it's as great as the original Wii Sports, but
I
but
mean, I haven't been able to play badminton since COVID started. So I mean, this is for me. This is my type of game.
But
Okay.
yours is the type of television that's going to get smashed. Because
Exactly.
I know, I've played badminton. I know what kind of wrist kind of whipping you do with that thing. You're going to have to get a strap and get twist ties to like strap it to your wrist so you don't lose that thing.
I mean, the real people that you have to worry about are the people that are doing the strap with the soccer, like the strap on their leg for the soccer.
oh yeah,
Yeah, those are
oh
the
Is
people
that
that
a
you have
thing?
to. Yeah, so you put the Joy-Con in the strap on your leg, and you pretend to kick, or you actually kick,
Yeah, I
but
think
you simulate kicking. So, but you're not kicking; you're kicking air. So those are the people you have to worry about.
Now hold on. You're telling me that they strap it to their
Oh my
ankle, right?
gosh!
You're saying
Are you
ankle.
seriously?
To your leg. Yeah.
So there's the
Yeah.
thing like the fit thing, the
Yeah,
Ring
like
Fit. There's like a holster that goes like up your leg.
Yep.
It's you strap
Google
it
it,
in so
Matt.
that it's straight and it's like sitting
Uh,
against your leg, not like you've just got the wrist around your ankle and you're whipping it like a bangle or something. Right?
I'll just Google it if you don't believe
I'm
us.
seeing if I can bring it up right now, but I don't want to waste a lot of time on this either because it's really not
Okay.
worth talking about.
Don't bother. I'll just Google it.
Yeah.
And
Maybe we can talk about it on our off-topic portion of the Discord, but
anyone new watching, I'm not a Nintendo guy, so
it's all good,
That's why.
man. It's all good, Matt. I mean, we're making you a Nintendo guy. I mean, just like you're making us PC guys, sort of.
You're making me more curious, but I can tell you, no leg straps for PC, at least until Ready Player One becomes a thing.
All right, enough with that. Inside I guess Nintendo, along with other video game companies, has been having its dirty laundry as well, and is their trouble there. I mean, looks like a employee. They just they ain't happy. They filed what is it something with the labor board or something. But yeah, just
Eloquently put.
I mean, well, yeah, just yeah, pretty much they talked about like how Nintendo, just it's just like working on cloud nine. Just they say, I mean, I guess with all companies, you have your good stories and your bad stories, and this
Okay, so
apparently,
let me take this one away. Okay, and then
Take it
Matt,
away.
I'll have you jump into this one. But essentially, Kat Bailey from IGN um, did a in-depth article, just trying to really find out the background about Nintendo and how it is to work at Nintendo. In her in-depth interview, she didn't have a really a guide or a direction that she wanted to go, but in doing interviews with people from Nintendo, she started like doing phone call representatives and individual contractors and things of that nature. And so in doing that, she found a common thread. She found that Nintendo very much wasn't maybe the place that people potentially wanted to work at, because or there was some unfairness and some things that like people weren't really happy with at Nintendo, and it really led down just to essentially that Nintendo hired people on as contractors, and generally when you hire a person as a contractor, you're hiring them to do a job. They do that job. If they do it well, they get hired on as a full-time employee. Well, that hasn't been the case, at Nintendo. They've had people that essentially have worked for the company for like 5-10 years as a contractor with no clear path to promotion to a full-time position. In addition to that, there's just been some work practices that you know are maybe not Nintendo's fault per se, but Nintendo hasn't done anything to address them, such as they have different color badges to distinguish the contractors from the full-time employees, and then the full-time employees have access to all these different parts of the building, the gyms, the kitchens and things like that, where the contractors do not. The contractors are what they end quote they've said they felt like a third world not third world country. I can't remember the quote, so no, never
Like a
mind.
yeah,
second class citizen
Second
second
kind of
class
thing.
class.
citizen. Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. That's what I was trying to say. But yeah, it's been it's just coming to light, and she wrote this article, so everyone picked up on the article once written. And I think there was one other point in there that I wanted to mention, but that's essentially what the article really touching on. And oh, the other point was that in the same week that they released the article, Reggie, they also had Reggie do an interview for his new book. And his book is very much in the best light possible and portrays him and Nintendo in a very good light. And when he was asked point blank about this and this in the culture, he just pretty much said he denied it. This didn't happen, and while he was at Nintendo, but very much the employees that were interviewed, some of them have been there 10 years plus as contractors, so that's very much in the time that Reggie was there. So take that for what you will, but yeah, Matt, I know you were talking about contractors and how this is a bigger issue outside of Nintendo.
Yeah, I think it is. I think in video games and the games industry, it's very easy to have that polish and that sheen to it. Like the games industry, working in game development is just different than working in other places. In corporate, you know what to expect. You're walking in, doing your office time, 9 to 5, and that's it. But gamers and game development has the passion there. So they kind of expect workplaces to be different in that sense. And when I read the the source that you guys can read in the show notes, all I read was what I've been hearing from where I currently work. And
Okay.
In a pandemic, that's what it's been like. It's actually been quite stark, more so than in regular times, that contractors aren't brought back for repeated stints as much as they were, and money isn't as available as it was for some businesses. Video games, I'm sure, will be rife there too. And the idea that they can't secure salaried funding for people on an ongoing basis, so they keep doing contract work and getting contractors in, that's like a snowball effect. And eventually you're going to see that you've got more contractors than you do salaried employees. But as a business decision, they're not going to give you a path to an ongoing salaried position because they can't justify the cost. And it's a complicated subject, and it's really not worth going into that aspect in too much depth. But that's what I saw here. I saw Nintendo of America being just like every other corporation, which it would treat it as such.
Hmm.
And it's it kind of loses that sheen when people talk about it, because people would think Nintendo fun, working for Nintendo is fun, and the people who work there, in a good position, say that it's fun too.
Yeah.
But then you hear stories like in that article of the woman who, I can't recall her name, but she got a head injury walking out of her car through the car park. And the protocols for her as a contractor to be taken to the hospital were so ridiculous that they ended up having to call an Uber, because a salaried employee, she both couldn't get treated on site, even though they had health facilities to do so, but a salaried employee wasn't permitted to drive her off site to the hospital because she couldn't read at her computer anymore.
Well,
It's
that.
you don't just shove someone with a head injury into an Uber and go, oh, job done, now I'm back to programming my video game. Like, those are the
Yeah.
things, those are the kinds of stories that you look at this situation and say, somebody, and excuse the language, but somebody fucked up there. And
Yeah.
look, Reggie may not have
Maybe he didn't
left a
know
culture
about it.
like that when he
Mhm.
finished, but how high up does this stuff really get in corporations like this?
Yeah.
Like, Bowser may not even be seeing this stuff. He's probably reading it in IGN and going, shit, that's going to be a tough earnings call or direct whenever I'm on there again.
Yeah.
And the whole aspect of uh, Nintendo operations being operated out of Japan
Hmm.
adds an extra layer to this that makes it even more complicated.
Yeah.
So while I am saying this is not uncommon for corporations like this,
Hmm.
I am also saying there's some messed up stuff here and they should probably
Yeah.
look at it. But we just
Yeah.
need to look at this in the broader context of,
Yeah. I'm just looking at it
jobs.
from just. I'm just looking at it from just like the same view as you, Matt. Just a workplace perspective, because regardless of if you work in corporate America or a video game company or whatnot, just I mean, yeah, I mean, types of stuff like this happens all the time. Like, you join a company where like you're a contractor, you're a temp employee or whatever, and I've been in similar situations like this before. But usually, more than half the time, there's a clear path to get on board with that company, and then you receive the full benefits from that company. So, but it seems like here in Nintendo's case, if it takes 10 years, I mean, I can understand it's different for video games, but if it's taking you 10 years to become a full Nintendo employee, out of being a contractor, might want to look somewhere. I mean, I don't think that's worth it. Might want to look somewhere else, in my opinion. I
Well,
mean,
it's a
that's just
double-edged
me.
sword.
Yeah,
But I'll let Matt. What were you gonna say?
I was just going to say that's the last aspect we haven't covered yet, that
yeah,
a lot of people reported in the article stated that they were taking on more responsibility
mm,
than they were getting paid to do, which they're happy to do because they're passionate about Nintendo and delivering as much to the company as possible. But you want to see a reward from that. And if there's no path to promotion by taking on more responsibility, that's when it becomes a bit more of a thing. But sorry, Finest, you go ahead.
Oh no, no. I mean, I was just gonna say, like, it's a double-edged sword in terms of, like, hey, like, yeah, you have these contractors that are doing a great job. They are making you money, which kind of feeds the need to keep contractors. You're like, oh well, where everything's going fine. This program that we have where we have contractors on and we bring them on part-time then allows you to also keep contractors. It's like, you're making more money, things are going great. The contractors aren't complaining. Even it's
Yeah.
it's taking 5, 10 years for a contractor to complain. So in their minds, everything is fine. They're like, everything's going great, and that's the thing. Like, but Nintendo, I think very much in terms of the broader context, I don't think it should be. I think very much you need to pinpoint big companies that are doing this and very much make an example of them so it trickles down. Because I don't see like any change happening really otherwise. I mean, this is essentially what we saw with game testers,
Yeah.
and what we're currently seeing. They're contractors. They come in, they test the game, they get paid. They got no or crap no or they got very little benefits or no benefits at all. Just couldn't use the facilities, couldn't do things that a regular employee couldn't do, and now they're unionizing, and now they're want to be on as full-time employees and so forth. And I think at a certain point you definitely should
Yeah.
like
And it's really funny too. Activision Blizzard has made a lot of their QA testers full salaried employees now.
no,
Yeah.
And funnily enough, I'm glad you said unions, because that was the precipitating complaint that initiated this discussion, that someone had been dismissed. They believed they had been dismissed from their position as a contractor before their contract was up by Nintendo, because they brought up unionizing in an official meeting.
yeah.
They say
Yeah.
it's for that reason. Nintendo has officially stated that it was not for that reason. It was because they broke an NDA in posting to social media, but that will come out in the wash.
I'm sure the proof will come out soon, but I figured it was a interesting topic to bring up, and just to shed limelight on just. I mean, as much as we love video games, there's a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes with these companies, whether it be Nintendo, Activision. So
You just have to look at it like
yeah.
you're not, your desk doesn't live on a cloud and you don't get to stare at a rainbow as you're developing these games, right? It's a job like others,
it's a
and you need to
job.
look out for yourself as much as you would any other job. Like, it's not just about giving back to a community that you love.
Mhm.
You need to take care of yourself as well.
Yeah, very very much agreed. All right. Well, moving on to some more tech news that I came across this week. Looks like Intel CEO Pat Gelsinger thinks that the semiconductor shortage will last until 2024. That's not next year. That's 2 years from now, and that is very, 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 very scary. No, no. I mean, he did an interview with CNBC, and this is what he had to say. That's part of the reason that we believe the overall semiconductor shortage will now drift into 2024 from our earlier estimates in 2023, just because the shortages have now hit equipment, and some of those factories' ramps will be more challenged. And that's his reference to where he refers to the processing ramping up a factory's new production. And it's just, I mean, I mean, is it still hard to get a PS5 right now? Yes. Is it still hard to get a Xbox Series X right now? Not as hard. It's getting a little easier, but we're still not seeing them in stores. Bottom line, just until we start seeing them in stores is when I think that this chip shortage will be under control, and you can just walk casually into your Best Buy, your Target, whatever big box store you buy your consoles from. Just go in, buy it. Not have to worry about someone trying to steal it from you, or worry about having to buy it off of scalper or whatever,
Steal it.
or
Does that
stealing it.
happen? Like, you walk
Yeah,
out the Best Buy and someone decks you and runs off with your PS5?
I'm sure it has. Like maybe
Wow.
Black Friday, or like just I'm sure you've seen it in movies where like people run up to like a kiosk or like a display where PS5s are. Oh, grab a PS5 or something, and then just customers trying to snatch it. Oh, I got the last one.
I did watch a gif of Canadian Black Friday, which looked very civil and polite.
I'm
Oh
sure it
boy.
did. 10
Look,
Canadians.
this needs to be much bigger than just the consoles. Like, we are a gaming podcast, but as a PSA to everyone listening and watching, this is not just game consoles. This is everything. I'm hearing stories of people who have to wait 18 months for a fridge. A fridge. Because their
Yeah.
fridge is broken. If they have to wait a year and a half, what are they going to use? An esky or an ice box? Like, it's
The
it's
ice chest, maybe.
Yeah.
anything would do in a pinch.
These
But
chips are in everything. Like, yeah, they're in
Yeah.
yeah,
cars, they're in fridges, they're in game consoles, they're in, you know, pretty much all the electronics, which I think just lends to that we we very much need to think outside of this realm. Like, like in terms of like, should we be putting these particular chips in everything that we use? I mean, there probably has to be a better way. But
horses. No
horses.
more cars.
Horses.
You just go back to
Horses.
the horse and cart.
I mean, my
Horses.
car
Done.
has horsepower. I mean, but it's not the
But
fastest
how many
anymore.
horses?
How many
Like
horses in it?
300 horses in that car?
300.
I mean, I
300.
can, maybe carve up some leather seats out of a couple, but anyway,
Okay.
no,
Yeah, it's, do we
it
need
is.
to electronicify everything?
Yeah,
Probably not. But that's denying the nature of technology in and of itself. Like, the
I,
whole thing is, we say can we before we ask should we.
yeah, this is true.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
and I don't know. I know when we did the article about PlayStation teaming up with a semiconductor company, like late last year or earlier this year. I mean, their approximation was 2025.
Oh yeah, that's
So
right. So this isn't a
so
surprise.
no, this isn't a surprise at all. So it's kind of weird that they're just like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, we're halfway into 2022, and it's like, oh, this is gonna go to 2023. Like, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Like, come on, okay,
Mm.
like that's
And
not
it's,
a great like it's not a great approximation. I don't know.
look, they can only say what they can. And I know in a previous episode, I I think I talked for like 10 or 15 minutes about the whole chip creation down to delivery and installation in products and stuff. But it's all about fabrication of that stuff. And companies like Sony can come out and say that because they have tried to get the fabrication time to get the chips they need to build the PlayStation 5s, and they can project 2025 is when that stuff is going to ease up for them. But the fact that this is someone from Intel, who is a maker of chips, but also a company that has sold their fabrication factories to then outsource to other places to be able to say this, it's also not a surprise to people keeping up with this stuff that they are going to, change their prediction to something a little bit later. But it's also stock market expectations. It's also delivery and availability expectations. Like, I fully expect in Australia, where graphics cards are starting to drop below
Mhm.
regular retail price finally, the 4000 series will come out for a bit, the 3090 will be out for a bit too, and then straight back up again. And there'll be another
Yeah.
year and a half where we're suffering from exorbitant prices for ridiculously small amounts of memory and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's
Ridiculous.
people coming out and saying stuff like this, they're trying to set the world's minds at ease, but also, like, it all revolves around money at the end of the day. And look, it does mean that you're not going to get your Series X or your PS5 just in time, but luckily for you, at least this year, a lot of the PlayStation games are created for PS4 in a way that allows them to maintain some of that graphical fidelity, which is phenomenal. Like, you wouldn't
Yeah,
have
that's
expected it.
great. That's great. But I'm sure for you know both these companies, Sony and Microsoft, that was not by choice. It
No,
was not by choice because if
there
they
would
could
be a
just
PS5 in every household
yeah,
if they
that
could
definitely
choose.
yeah. Or what they could do is they could pay the $5 and get on the waiting list for a Steam Deck, which is one of the next things I wanted to talk about in terms of tech news. Looks like they added some updates to the Steam Deck, so if you have one, here are some of the updates that they did. They added an OS controlled fan curve to improve the experience in low usage scenarios and adjusting how the fan responds to different scenarios and temperatures. They fixed an issue where OS fan control would not automatically resume after waking up the device from sleep. So those are two of them. I'm not going to read all of them. As of April 29th, this feature has been improved to cause less black screen time when changing refresh rate. Also fixed an issue when typing the, I believe, I forget what that symbol is.
The
Key,
Euro.
yeah, Euro key when using the Steam keyboard. I knew it was something Euro. So I mean, if you have a Steam Deck, great. If you're still waiting on yours, definitely update it when you get it, unless you plan on just ripping out the OS and changing it. Um, what are you guys impressions with the Steam Deck so far before moving on?
People are doing so much with it. It's
Yeah,
crazy. There's no corners left anymore. You can do anything with that thing. You can.
I want one. That's it.
Me too, me
That's it.
too. But my wife will kill me if I buy one right now. It's like you have so much stuff already, but I don't know. I don't think I'm that close to putting the $5 down, but it's getting there. It really is
Yeah.
getting there.
Let me put your minds at ease. It's still a mobile gaming system.
Yes, agreed,
Now,
100%.
a lot of the innovation with the Steam Deck is the ability to play games that it wasn't intended to play. Now, I say intended quite loosely because Valve is Valve. They're like, yeah, they get this. They're going to pull out all their emulation content and they're going to try and load OSs and do all this stuff. That's why they made it as open as they did. But if you're wanting to get it for the novelty and to be able to say you had it, you may be worth waiting because they have already committed to building a higher performing version or an updated version within the next couple of years. And look, that might get pushed too with the chip shortage being what it is, but um, there's no like Steam Deck only games still. Like
Yeah,
nothing is built for Steam Deck. They kind of get backpedaled to suit it if they're
pretty.
doing that for the gamers.
Yeah, pretty much. It's either your Steam games or emulation.
Mm. But in
So,
saying that, I'm
uh,
enticed by it too. Like as a hobbyist with a little bit of disposable income, it's
Yeah.
so much fun to play with.
Those Game Pass games that we talked about earlier, those like
mhm.
7 day 1 games that came out, like if I can load those up on a Steam Deck, I would be in heaven right now. Like that's all I want to
Oh,
do. Like is I just want to be able to play those games. Like those not necessarily big AAA games, but still relatively big games, in the gaming space, and just be able to load them up on a portable device and play in my bed, play in here, play, at my friend's house, wherever I am, just have that ability. Yeah, you didn't put my mind at ease, man. Now I just want one even more. Dang it.
It's the way things go. Like it's a they always knew it was going to be a device that would ignite the passions of the people that want it.
Matt, when it goes on sale in Australia, you pre-order it.
It depends. If it goes on sale before mid next year, when I'm potentially moving country, then absolutely, because it means I can buy a laptop for work and have the Steam Deck for play, and I've got something to do on the plane, which is often a problem. Though I know what you're going to say. Just get a Switch and you'll be
Get a
fine.
Switch. Yes, yes, exactly. I'm going to keep saying that. Get a Switch.
We will see. But
Okay, for
look,
sure.
it's a lot of money. It'll be a lot of
Yeah,
money in Australian, so we'll
yeah,
just have to see. But I feel your pain, Finest. I do. It's
yeah.
it's a nice machine. Very fun.
All right, and then last bit of tech news. The Polymega, if you guys remember that, came out sometime last year. They had an update for their console. You can brings an update for more SNES and Super Famicom support. Version 1.120 brings the goods apparently. If you guys do have this console, I just wanted to bring it to everyone's attention real quick that yeah, if you do have the console, great. Let us know what you think of it. I mean, I think I'm getting it right now? Probably not, but I just wanted just to bring limelight to this. That hey, this is out. if you want it, you can get it. Hopefully, it doesn't take months for you to receive it. Anything
This
on the Polymega?
podcast brought to you by Polymega.
Polymega, a sponsor.
Poly,
No.
meaning many. Don't you want many megas? Get a Polymega today.
Yeah, you
I
can
love
play
it.
a bunch of cartridge game stuff on it, CD based stuff. It looks incredible, but I mean, it's not my cup of tea, per se.
I just want to know the one person that does have this. Like,
Yeah, I mean, that's why.
please chat in. Like, I just want to know, like, honestly, what are the numbers around this console?
Yeah, I just want to know.
I'm
Anyone?
curious.
I haven't seen hardly any video reviews on it. So just
Yeah.
from your basic YouTube reviewers.
Yeah, I'm sure
but,
they're not handing them out.
Yeah, it's if you're ordering one, I'm pretty sure it's taking months before you get it. But unlike the Valve Steam Deck, this is just definitely a little lower at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to popularity. Definitely,
Very niche.
yeah, definitely very niche. But then people will say, "Hey, you have a Steam Deck, you could just emulate it, RetroArch, excuse me." But
Even better, get a Raspberry Pi it, or get a Mister or a like FF. What is it? FFM Peg? I don't know. There's like
yeah,
a
I know what you're talking about.
an emulation protocol that you can do to build stuff that's been available for ages. That's probably what most of these systems are based on. So,
Emulation's incredible. I love emulation. That's definitely all right.
but not a fan of the Polymega.
Yeah, not too much, but no.
Well, the Polymega doesn't emulate. You have to actually
It's
have to play
it's
old.
FPGA. It can
Okay.
like dump your games. It's similar to the Super
Gotcha.
NT sort of.
But you don't have to dump them.
You don't have
Right.
to, but you can. You have that option.
Okay.
All right. So next we're going to talk about some games that are coming out later this year, and well, supposedly, we'll start with the first one. Sega says that Sonic Frontiers is still slated for a 2022 release, just like the developers for God of War Ragnarok said that it's still coming in 2022. Sonic Frontiers
Which
is still
it
coming
is.
in 20.
Which
Then
it
you,
is.
then you have to agree with this. Sonic Frontiers is coming in 2022, right?
Okay.
Right,
Whoa.
right, Finest. I
I'm
don't
so
know.
Why not?
aggressive. A God of War, yes. Sonic.
Hey, that's what
Maybe.
Sega's saying. I mean, Sonic
We'll
Frontiers.
We'll see. I mean, we do. They've only put out one trailer for the game, so God of War's put out at least two trailers. Well, I don't know if you could consider the first one a trailer. It was more just like, oh, here's our logo and here's our name. But yeah, I mean, at least God of War is like they're saying like, oh, like we're doing everything we can to get the game out this year. This is Sega saying like, hey, this is coming out this year. So, I mean, I guess you have to lean some credibility to that. Like they're not saying we're trying; they saying that they
It
are.
is.
So, yeah, I guess sure.
I'm just waiting for the delay. Delay.
I don't know what to expect from this game, so I'm not like super eager excited even if it does come out this year. At this point, I need to see more. What is this game and what is it about? Because the trailer did not show much. From what everyone that I've listened to has interpreted, it's an open world Sonic game in the realm of Breath of the Wild. But what does that even mean? Every open world Sonic game so far, or open world ish, or 3D Sonic has been relatively horrible so far. So,
Hey, Sonic Adventure was good. I liked it anyway.
it's okay.
Maybe Sonic Frontiers needs just enough time for people to complain about how Sonic looks in the trailer and for them to be able to go back and change how it looks.
And then I'll be their excuse for delaying the game. Oh, you all complained.
Yeah.
I just find it funny. I just find it funny. Yeah, but I mean, it's guaranteed. They insist that it's coming. So, more gaming news.
I think before we move on, I think we need to get you something that will relieve you of this cynicism of delays. Too tall. I mean, it's, to be fair, it's a symptom of the environment we're in, but we need some optimism in there. Ragnarok is coming. If they say it's going to be released, yes, it is.
You are talking about the game, right? I don't know if we should be excited about Ragnarok in general.
Well, I mean, no, Not last thing we want is Surtur destroying Asgard and Thor being homeless, but God of War Ragnarok at least.
Okay, okay.
That's right, Finest. You can't offset. I'm not stumbling. I know what I'm talking about.
So you say.
Yeah, optimism. Optimism.
All right, I'll be more optimistic. I mean,
Yeah.
I want these games to come out when developers say they're going to come out. I mean, I would like God of War Ragnarok to come out in 2022, as I would like Sonic Frontiers to come out in 2022. Would I like to see more from both games? Yes, but they say they're coming, so just gotta take the developer's word for it right now until the delay
And
hammer comes.
even if it doesn't, that's probably a good thing. If
Mm.
they don't come out, they delay it. More the idea around that is it's a good thing to delay your games because it gives them more time to work on them rather than rushing them out in a non-finished state. So please, yeah, if they need to be delayed, please delay them.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah,
Please.
yeah, we don't want WWE 2K20 all over again,
Yeah,
Oh,
no one
no,
wants that.
yeah. All right. Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time remake. There was a tweet about it, and they say that Ubisoft at Montreal, the very birthplace of the epic Sands of Time trilogy, is going to be taking on this project. And is this a good thing, bad thing? What do y'all expect with the
This
Prince of
is
Persia?
I'll go for it, Matt.
I was just going to say it's very reminiscent of the similar announcement from CDPR a little while ago, saying that they were bringing in the Witcher HD release development back in house as opposed to having it outsourced. I'd say that Ubisoft Mumbai, there was another studio mentioned there too. They just maybe they haven't hit it on the head yet, so they're bringing in the big players, their pinch hitters, to just round this thing out. Because we've been waiting for a while, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
In a very long time, and
Yeah.
it's a great game. I
This
would
game
love to
was
see this.
supposed to come out last year, I believe. And yeah, and now it's been delayed and now essentially delayed again. This is sad. I mean, really. Ubisoft Mumbai is relatively new, and then they like very much when they highlighted that they were making a game about Prince of Persia. They were like talking about how they had like really like incorporated people from the culture, like like people that are Persian and just yeah from like that have like a essentially like a history connection to this and the game and how they like wanted to make this game so much, and them just not kind of being able to deliver the goods and having it taken away from them. So yeah, the big dogs can do it is sad.
It
But
could be a number of things, though. Like
Yeah,
we know that the pandemic hit India pretty hard,
yeah,
true
so
that.
that could be responsible for the delays. It could be any number of things. We just don't know.
I mean, but the game was pretty much up and ready to be released. I mean, they at least that's the way it seemed until they showed that trailer, that first gameplay trailer, and then
Hmm.
the negative response was just it was very much like Sonic, and
Yeah.
and the Sonic movie, and they're like, oh, we have to go back to work and revamp Sonic and you know give the fans what they want. Very much when the game player, the game player, the game trailer showed for this game, it was a little bit like, ooh, like this almost looks like a D make because like it was not great. The graphics just weren't representative, even though it was a remake of an old game. And that they very much had to go to do a lot of work for. It really did not look like a this generation game based on it, and the game's relatively short. Like if you played the first Prince of Persia, Sands of Time. So I mean, just having like a development cycle like it has, like we already know they've been working on the game for at least 2 years based on the time of the release of the trailer and the time that they delayed it up until now. We know they've been at least working on the game 2 years, and now that it's going to another studio, we know there's going to be at least another year before. So this game is going to be like a probably like a 5-6 year development cycle. So I mean that says a lot. So I yeah, I'm glad Ubisoft is making the hard decision to, maybe take it away from one studio and give it to another, but at the same time, I'm still saddened by it.
Well, I was just, you may have seen me, my eyes glaze over there. I was just checking out the release trailer from 2020. And look, to be honest, I wouldn't see any reason for complaint, but I can see why people might. Because it looks like it's a, Prince of Persia Fortnite integration kind of thing. But yeah, look, it is what it is.
Yeah,
Big
I would
business
just
make the big decisions.
look at if you can find, or now you don't even have to find, but if you search on the backlash on that game, there was so much backlash after that trailer came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a classic too. So there's going to be a strong audience there. Probably the same audience that hated on the Prince of Persia release for, I think it was just Xbox. It was not a remake, it was like a reimagining. I'm going too far back. I know I got it on my Xbox 360 with the console. But
Yeah, we'd have to do some research there. All right, and then our last bit of upcoming games news is another wrestling game, not WWE, but the other company, AEW Fight Forever. Yes, AEW is the rival promotion to WWE that launched a few years ago now, and they're coming out with their first video game. They say it's going to be done by the end of the year. We've seen some screenshots, and the screenshots look pretty good for the most part. Well, I mean, it looks okay. Maybe not pretty good, but yeah,
I'm
it
guessing this quality is not up to scratch.
Well, it's more okay. It's more on the realm of WWF No Mercy, if you remember that game.
Look, it says game footage is not final right there in the corner. So
Yeah,
not the final product, but
we know this game exists.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're working with Ukes, the people, the old developer behind the WWE games that 2K had a falling out with. That's one reason why 2K20 was so bad. But yeah, it's a. They say that there has been some drama behind the scenes though, and it may be a one and done because just Ukes is hard to work with, according to Kenny Omega. So I mean, we'll see if this game comes out by the end of the year. I mean, I think it will. I mean, it looks. I mean, hey, it's not the final product, so we'll see what happens. I mean,
I couldn't watch that anymore on screen. I'm so glad it's gone. Just right there.
So I've been sleeping on this stuff with you guys a little bit. I make fun of it, but I do listen to a few podcasts that just happen to talk about the relationship of the studios that develop these games. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Ukes is the one that makes the games people like, right?
Yes.
Or is that wrong?
Yeah, they have. I mean, like I said, the WWE games, like when Ukes was behind it. I mean, as a fan of the games, and I'm just only one guy. I'm not going to speak for all the fans. I mean, they were pretty good games for the most part. They worked with THQ when they had the license before 2K swooped in. So I mean, for the most part, they made some great quality games. I don't know what happened with them in their relationship with 2K over the years, but I mean, for the most part, for the most part, they made some pretty likable games, that I can't complain about. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
they
my
made
opinion.
all the WWE games from 2K14 to 2K19. So,
and the audience is very discerning, aren't they?
Yeah,
they're like the Call of Duty gamers. They're like, this isn't my game if it's not good enough.
Yeah, you can say that. But like I said, they really knocked it out of the park with 2K22. So
there you go.
All right. Well, that's it for the gaming news call-outs. And now we go into this week's discussion, and it's kind of a weird discussion. We're gonna just deep dive into what happened, why Square did it. Just give our thoughts. What was included, and just yeah, it's kind of weird too, Finest, because we were talking about studios being sold last week, and we didn't see this coming at all. So, Square Enix sells studios to Embracer Group. Uh, this includes studios such as Crystal Dynamics, Square Montreal, which I'm pretty sure Square Enix Montreal will get a new name. It includes properties such as Tomb Raider, Thief, and The Legacy of Kain. So, I mean, just for the most part, yeah, I didn't see this coming at all, and just I think the one like Tomb Raider like really stands out to me because that's been around for years. Now the games and the movie, all that stuff. Just I just it was just it seems like they could have sold it for more too. I mean,
So
what
how
was
much did it sell for?
uh sold for what 300
300
million?
million.
Yeah,
Yep.
300.
And it's over 50 IP, back cataloged IP from Square Enix.
I think
So
it
yeah,
could have been
what?
more. It could have been more.
Like I said, more than 50.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about 50. I think the number came out to be 54. But yeah, no, I mean 300 million is a drop in the tank when you consider the numbers. If you looked at Tomb Raider, based on its total sales that they released like after this article came out, like Tomb Raider made like 400 would have made like 400 million if the game sold at half price for its amount of sales through its lifetime, when they took that over. So like that's strange, like, but very much they said Guardians of the Galaxy like lost them 200 million in
God
addition
damn.
to what was that other
Avengers.
game? Yeah,
Avengers.
Avengers. Yeah, so
Okay,
I mean,
Avengers I can understand, but Guardians.
So
there's just been some weird business decisions that must be happening behind the scenes that like honestly that like we can't really account for. But to sell like over 50 IPs in addition to multiple studios is for 300 million just seems weird, since like you think of like the Bethesda acquisition and things like that, or if you even like think about just like Gearbox in itself, like
Hmm.
which Embracer Group has purchased. They bought Gearbox for over 400 million. So it's just it is a kind of a weird acquisition
That
or
that 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 still
acquisition.
seems like a steal, if you ask
but
me, for 300
in
million.
in the context of losing 200 million in the development and sale of the Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy,
Mhm.
obviously the grain of salt we have to take with Square Enix is that they seem to make really weird decisions about the games that they back. Like game Guardians of the Galaxy wins Best Narrative at the Game Awards, and they come out like the week before and say it didn't meet our standards. It didn't meet expectations of sales, even though it's winning Game Awards everywhere. It's got some value in there. The fact that they've
People
come out
love
and
it.
said that they lost $200 million in the development and sale of those two games together, the fact that they're selling for 300 million could mean that they're just trying to make up for lost money at that point. And I heard that after breaking even from lost sales over time, that maybe they net 8 million.
Mm.
I think I don't have a source for that number, but it may just be a balance of the books for them in selling these off. But there's a couple of other interesting things that have come out, which I'll leave till towards the end for reasons. You'll find out why.
Yeah, there's
All
other
right, for
things I want
sure.
to mention too, but I'm gonna also, I guess I'll wait before I dive in.
All right,
Yeah,
no worries. I mean, so for the most part, what other studios does the Embracer Group own besides Redbox? Uh,
I know that they own Coffee Stain Studios. At
Coffee
least
Stain.
they made
Uh,
Satisfactory and Valheim,
They
and
they own like 800 studios, and that's the
that's
crazy thing.
there's a
yeah.
lot
So
in there.
like they are the gaming world's like one of like their like undercover secrets, because most people have never heard of them, but they
Yeah.
own a ton of studios, and they originally start off in comic books, which
Yeah.
is the
Didn't
even
they?
easier crazier part. Yeah.
Didn't they buy THQ after they went under, or THQ
They
Nordic?
they
Or,
yeah, they own a branch of THQ, and I believe it is THQ Nordic. Yes.
okay,
Yep.
so
They also bought Dark Horse Comics, I think,
Dark
as
Horse.
They
just their finest.
yeah, they own they own also just a whole bunch of mobile game studio or mobile game companies. So they're kind of all over the place. I know when listening to some other podcasts that were talking about this acquisition, because that's the only thing that everyone's been talking about all week. Very much like I found out that like they own like over 100 board game, actual physical board game companies. Um, so that was kind of interesting to me. So yeah, they love the gaming space, but very much they put out a tweet after the acquisition, and so like after everyone reported on this week, and they said very much they're like they love gaming, and they want to empower these companies to
Mhm.
allow them to do what they want to do. So
And
they're
that
gonna
seems to
have
be
a
the sentiment showing through
Yeah.
too. Like
yeah.
people don't look at this acquisition and go, "Yeah, they're going to can those studios, take the
Hmm.
IP, and then develop them in
Mm.
house." They really
Mm.
think that the studios will hang around and just develop for them instead,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah, yeah, it kind of is. We'll see what happens with it. I mean, I don't. I mean, they could come get rid of like some of these studios. I mean, as many studios as they have, but I
They
mean, I think
could, but it's the sentiment, right?
yeah, they
Like
could.
this has very strong Tencent vibes.
It
Yeah,
does.
Um, Tencent is
runs a
the other
lot of
one.
10 cent. Yeah,
Yeah.
10.
And I think in the context of the Microsoft acquisition, if the Embracer Group was going to buy um, another big game developer, that's probably when you would start, wondering if they should block that sale. Um,
Oh yeah,
and they could just be building up to get a set of stuff going. But Square Enix has been pretty vocal about wanting to be acquired too. I think they may
yeah.
be shoring up their books,
There wasn't
trying to
Yeah.
something
make it
with
a bit
Sony earlier
attractive.
this year, or
No,
wasn't.
that's the Jeff Grubb
Mm,
tweeted out earlier this week that was the rumor that he heard, that Sony and Square Enix were in talks to potentially for Square Enix to be purchased. And based on this, it makes sense.
mm,
But just the fact that we haven't heard anything yet from Sony about that, or anything from directly from Square Enix, I mean, we have no idea if that deal is even still on the table, much less going to go through.
Well, it
yeah.
depends, right? Like
Mm,
they've also something that they have said openly is that they one of the reasons they got rid of these studios is to make room for cloud gaming
yeah.
and NFTs
Hmm.
Mm.
because they would like to invest in those things
Hmm.
uh, and invest some time and development in it, and cutting out some slack to create the capital to be able to invest in those things would make sense. But are they making a strong play? Or are they just looking for a quick increase in value of their stock price before they get acquired by Sony so that
And
they
their
can,
stocks did go up.
there you go.
Yeah.
It's a shell
Um.
game at the moment. That's
Yeah.
all it is.
No, I totally agree. And if you really like look at this, like I don't think we're gonna get into this, so I think it's fine to mention right now. It's like they sold off all their Western studios. This is very much a Japanese company that purchased all these Western studios in a time where the market was just different. They
Yeah.
purchased them. They purchased them because they wanted to retain a Western audience. They wanted a different type of input. They wanted to make a different type of game, and they did that. But I don't think they got the returns that they essentially wanted from that. So very much they're cutting the fat.
Mm,
They're going back to the roots. They're selling
yeah.
Final Fantasy games like never before. Final Fantasy 14 is doing incredible. Final Fantasy 16 is going to come out supposedly this year.
Supposedly.
Yeah,
The
I
Pixel
mean,
remasters, they need to come to
yeah.
console. The Pixel
They're
remasters, Square, you hear me?
Well, I mean, their mobile games they do excellent. Like their mobile market they do so well in mobile. And I
Yeah.
don't think a lot of people realize that. I have like 5 or 6 of their mobile games on my phone, and I'll pop those up like every whenever I'm on a plane or wherever I'm doing whatever I'm doing. But yeah, I mean, it seems like they're very much going back to their roots. Like their mobile market's doing great, and then they're focusing on their key pillars, where they're consistently making money and have been for the entirety of their existence.
Kingdom Hearts. I
Kingdom
agree.
Hearts,
Yep.
yes. Yeah, that's a good game. That's a great game, definitely. Before we move on, any final thoughts on this acquisition?
Oh, that's it? Oh man, I thought we had like 20 more things to talk about this, but okay.
There's there's
What's final
plenty
thoughts?
to discuss, but I think the this is the landscape of things. Yeah, we're not talking about that. Audio listeners, we flashed our little WWE unusual screenshot there.
AEW.
I don't know the sport where people touch each other.
Yeah. The sport that's fake.
The sports okay. The sport that is fake. There's so many things to talk about, but this is the landscape of where we are right now. And look, we could have a segment every week on what Jeff Grubb says too, because there are so many rumors flying around, and he's always got the juicy stuff.
Yeah.
But there's always something about an acquisition. There's a lot of acquiring happening. The state of game ownership, the way that game development is run, the way that the money is distributed. NFTs alone has shifted this in a way that no one could have anticipated up to this point. But the whole idea of cloud gaming, partnerships with studios to be able to support that kind of stuff, and technology companies, game development in and of itself becoming easier. Like the whole landscape of things shifting around is going to be weird. And we're going to be surprised by things like this as they pop up. Like Square, why would they essentially give away some of the biggest properties that have been a part of our childhoods? Tomb Raider 2.
Tomb Raider, yeah.
Amazing. I didn't purchase that thing. I got it off a disc from somebody, but it was one of the seminal games that created me as a gamer. And it's hard to look back and think why that wouldn't have more value to a company.
You would think.
Yeah. But the consumer interpretation of this stuff is always going to be different to the business. And like it's probably going to be for the rest of the year that we're going to see this stuff happening, and it's not going to level out until, the money stops swapping around a bit. It's a hard thing to say, and there's always more things to talk about and more things to speculate. But at the end of the day, we just wait for the next one.
I think the thing that surprises me the most is not necessarily the price point, but for the price point that none of the other like major studios picked them up for a little bit more. Like,
I didn't think of that.
Yeah, like I mean, come on, like Xbox and like PlayStation, like
I'll give you 500.
500 million or a billion, even.
That's the thing that shocks me the most. It's just like what knowledge did Embracer Group have like to come in and be like, oh, we heard you wanted to sell, like 1,100 of your employees and like quite a few of your studios and 50 of your IP. And they're like, oh, well, how much do you want for them? 300 million. Oh yeah, we'll do that. Like the fact that like nobody else was like on the table to like make that acquisition that did, and Embracer Group got him, surprises me the most. But I'm sure we might hear about that a little bit more later too.
I'm sure.
It's where the complicated relationships come in too, because Crystal Dynamics already has a pre-established relationship with the initiative developing Perfect Dark for Microsoft already. So maybe they were like, we don't really need to worry about that. We got the connection in there, if we want a CD somewhere, we can do it. But it's an interesting thought. Yeah, there's a lot of money flying around. Why couldn't there be a little bit
just more studios being acquired. I'm just I thought this would just after reading the deal, it's just like you see 300 million. It's just like you think this would go for more. So, but I mean, and just like Sony, Microsoft, they didn't bid, because you've heard Sony wanting get some more studios, or that they're getting some more studios, and Microsoft, I mean, acquisition of the year, Activision, just
they're gonna have to take it easy though.
Yeah,
like the spotlight's on them right now. They probably
especially
can't
with
acquire anything else for a little
especially
bit.
with the FTC right now. Yeah, I think they're gonna. Yeah, we're not
Yep.
gonna be hearing too much from them. All right, great discussion on another studio acquired. Next week, we will be probably talking about another one. All right. So we're getting toward the end of episode 86 of the Game and Watch podcast. But before we go, we got to do the release rundown of what's coming out next week. All right. So the release rundown. So May the 10th, you got four games coming out. Eiyuden Chronicle Rising, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and PC, and that is a Game Pass Day One exclusive. Salt and Sacrifice for the PS5, PS4, and PC. This War of Mine Final Cut for the PS5, Xbox Series X and S. Unpacking for the PS5 and PS4. And Evil Dead, the game, for pretty much everything. PS5, PS4, Xbox Series of Systems, X and S, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Any of these games that our viewers or listeners should probably play.
Well, Evil Dead's been pushed for ages, right?
Yeah, the Evil
was
Dead. Yeah,
delayed
that
a few
looks
times.
very interesting. I mean, I'm surprised that's coming to Switch, but maybe they made it so that it could run on the Switch. I don't know, but
Could it be a bit of a trick? Like it's got the high fidelity thumbnails, but when you get into the game, it's like a 2D pixel Castlevania type thing.
yeah, it's just like, okay, what is it? Of course, the Switch can run this.
The mobile game deceit, let's call it that. But Unpacking, you
Yep.
PlayStation gamers who haven't touched it yet. Oh, so good.
Unpacking. Oh yeah, that's right. It's already on PC and the Xbox. So, oh yeah. So,
Yep.
oh, that's right. You actually made a video on it, I believe, right? I did a little short. Oh, or maybe that's another game I'm thinking about. Never mind.
Me?
Yeah, you.
I don't think I made a video
Oh,
about
maybe.
Unpacking.
Yeah, I'm thinking of another game. I'm thinking of like moving or something like that. I could be. I don't know.
Last week I streamed the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe,
Ooh, nice.
which is actually an excellent game. This
I want to
Tuesday,
say it. What are you doing
3
this
a.m.
Tuesday?
I think.
3 a.m. for us. Yes.
Yeah, for you guys. But 8 p.m. Australian, if you want to come watch Dead Drop Podcast on twitch.tv.
If I'm up at 3 a.m., I'll definitely give it a watch. If I'm up.
But Unpacking, definitely PlayStation players should pick that up.
Yep,
because-
and Eiyuden also. Sorry, didn't mean to cut
Yeah.
you off. Yep.
No, it's good. Good with
Yeah,
games.
good batch of games. But I mean, this is not what I'm used to, especially with what's come out this year. It's usually like 10 games, and it's just like this week only like 5. Okay, a bit
That's okay.
different. But, yeah, but that's okay.
It's
I mean,
respectful of our time.
Yeah,
More stuff-
this
good
is
stuff
the
is
weeks
coming.
before E3, like, or where E3 would have been. So this is always slow at this time. Like, we're
Yeah.
lucky that we have this many games, actually.
yeah, it is actually kind of a lot. So, yeah,
And we
so
can't have Finest being disappointed with what he can't play until he finishes Forbidden West.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
tantalizing.
Oh gosh, 130 hours later, we'll watch. We'll see. I don't know.
All right.
130 hours are the best time you've ever had. And also
it's a
A
pretty good
quarter of
time.
your year.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, this has been a great show. It's always a pleasure speaking to you both. This is going to do it for the Game and Watch podcast. You've been listening or watching the Game and Watch podcast, episode number 86. For Matthew Bliss and Finest, aka RView Gaming, this is Justin Reed, aka Too Tall for You Fools, saying so long. Thank you for
Thank you.
watching.
Thank you
Thank
to
you.
everybody who came to watch on Twitch and participated in the chat. We really appreciate you.
Yes. Thank you to all our viewers who commented. We had quite a bit of people watching tonight. This is great.
Yeah, there was. I'm sorry, I forget her name. I think it was Alyssa, Asia. I'm sorry,
Asia.
maybe. I cleared the chat already, so I can't see the name anymore. But she said we had great quality. The quality of our podcast looked really good. On Twitch, so I appreciate that.
Thank you. We
Thank you.
appreciate it. Tune in next week for another great episode of the Game and Watch podcast. Until then, take it easy, stay safe, keep on gaming. Later.
See
Later,
you
y'all.
later.